Good morning and welcome to 365 Days of Stories with the Ameer. We are on day 111, and I'm continuing the story of the tiger or the jackal. So, we left off the story with the queen now living with the farmer and his wife, or the woodsman and his wife, and having given birth to a son. And she named him Ameer Ali. And years passed. There was never any word or sign from the king. It seemed as if he didn't care at all what had happened to his wife. He had no idea that he now had a prince's son. And in those years, the woodsman and his wife and the queen brought Ameer Ali up in the most fabulous of ways. He was taught to be, one of the earth, but at the same time was taught by his mother everything that was of use, of interest, practical for a young prince to learn. Now, as Ameer Ali grew older, he begged his mom, the queen, to allow him to go off and seek his own adventures. And she always refused, and the woodsman and his wife supported the queen in this. They didn't want him to go. They waited, and they always responded in the same way to his request to be off into the world on his own, until he reached the age of 18. And when he turned 18, the woodsman, his wife, and the queen, they all agreed that he was old enough now to go off on his own, and there was no way that they could hold him back any further, any longer. Off he went. He didn't take much with him. He'd been taught well by the woodsman to, get along with next to nothing out in the forest. He knew what plants he could eat, what was useful, how to build a shelter for himself out of what was available, how to find fresh water. So he took the minimum. He did take, it was a galale. It was a double-stringed bow with which he could, hunt for small game or birds, make for his meals. He took a few coins, and he took a water pot. And with this, he was off. It was a brass water pot, fairly large, but he thought it would be useful in more than one way. Now, he was some days and weeks into his adventure when he took aim at a pigeon that was in some shrubs in front of him. And he let go with his arrow. Off it sped, but for some reason, though his aim was usually very accurate, the pigeon seemed to take off even before it knew the arrow was coming toward it. And the arrow sped past the pigeon as it fluttered off. And he soon heard a, rather large pop, where it seemed the arrow had landed or ended its very fast journey. And as it made that loud pop, there was kind of a clamor, and then there was some, a voice of a woman, rather sounding upset. And he quickly made his way out of the bushes and the shrubs. And there he saw a very, very, not very pleasant looking old woman who was taking down from off of her head a ceramic water vase with a hole in it. And the water that had been in that water vase was now streaming all over her, soaking her clothing. She was very upset. And when she saw Ameer Ali come out of the shrubs, she was like, "What? How could you do something like this to me, an old woman? You have completely broken my water pot. Why do you play tricks on me like that? It's very unbecoming of you. How am I supposed to get water now? And how will I replace this beautiful water vase that I have? Ah, you young men, why would you do this?" Well, Ameer Ali quickly came up to her and said, "Oh, my lady, I did not mean to hit your water vase. I had taken aim at a pigeon that certainly should have been my dinner. And unfortunately, here it's hit your water pot. I will tell you, I will take care of this. Look at the beautiful brass water pot that I have. You may have it, and certainly will not break as easily as your pot. And as for getting water, I know it must be quite a toil for you. Just direct me to where I may find water, and I will go get it for you and carry it to wherever it is that you wish." Well, to this, the old woman brightened. Her face seemed to light up, and she said, "Fine." She directed Ameer Ali where to find water. And he said, "Great, you wait here, dry your clothing in the sun. I will give a call when I'm approaching, and then you can tell me where to bring the water." So the old woman was happy with this. Ameer Ali went off to go get the water. And after some time, he called out as he was approaching the clearing where the old woman had spread her clothing out to dry. She quickly put it back on. Ameer Ali came into the clearing with his brass water pot filled with water. It wasn't really his brass water pot anymore, for he was going to give it to the old woman. And without saying a word, the old woman beckoned and off she went, quite a ways ahead of Ameer Ali. Now, eventually, they came to a clearing, and in that clearing on the far side was a small habitation. You could almost call it a hut. The old woman quickly went inside, and as she did, at the doorway, a beautiful young woman appeared, more beautiful than any woman Ameer Ali had ever seen in his entire life. And when the beautiful woman saw Ameer Ali, she took a veil and covered her face and disappeared inside the hut. Now, Ameer Ali came close to the hut and set the water pot down. And the old woman came out and she said, "Thank you. Here, you can put it right here by the doorway." So Ameer Ali carried it to the doorway and hoping to catch, a glance and make his acquaintance with that beautiful young woman, he waited for a minute, but then it began to feel awkward. So he bade his farewell to the old woman, and he turned and started to walk away. And the old woman, as he got to the edge of the clearing, said, "If you ever need help, come to this spot and call for me. I am the fairy of the wood, and I will help you in whatever way you need." Well, Ameer Ali thanked her, put his palms together, and turned and walked away, thinking more about that beautiful young woman than the words of the old woman. Now, he traveled for some time, and having, expended the little bit of money that he had brought with him, he began to seek work. And he came to a rather large city and immediately made his way to the palace of the king. And there he inquired for employment. The king, however, told him there was nothing, but the Ameer Ali begged so vehemently to be given employment. The king said, fine, you shall be one of my bodyguards. And in order to prove yourself, you must be willing to go on any and every excursion, however dangerous it may be. Ameer Ali agreed. Now, it wasn't very long after that, on one very, very stormy night. The sun had just set. It was dusk still. But this storm was raging, fierce winds and rain just pouring down. And out from the palace, there was a river. And off in that direction, the king and all those assembled in the court could hear, well, the wailing of some woman. Well, the king called one of his servants and said, I want you to go and investigate what is going on there. The servant it suddenly grew pale, and fear in his voice, he said, please, sire, don't send me on such an errand. I fear for my life. This is the kind of night that evil spirits and witches are out. Perhaps I will lose my life on such an errand. Please send someone else. The king, he was gracious, and he called another servant. That man said the same thing, and another, each one saying the same thing. And finally, Ameer Ali stood up and said, sire, send me. I will go. King said, fine. So Ameer Ali, off he went. He made his way down the hill to where the river was raging. And he began to make his way across. It was tough to keep his footing, as you would know if you've ever crossed a raging stream. Slick rocks, uncertain depths. Well, eventually he gained the other side. And tomorrow I will tell you what he encountered when he got there. Okay, thanks for joining. Have a good rest of your day.